Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 nerds by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Healing hit die aren't just for your short rest anymore. We give you 3 new ways to use your healing hit die as a barbarian.
Jump down in the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we're experimenting with something and we wanted to throw out there and see what you guys think, and we're possibly going to even make this into a series if you guys like it. So we want to use an underused mechanic in our games. Your games might be completely different than ours, but we don't have a ton of combats in our games. So healing hit dies don't really get used that much.
Right. So, I don't know how many times I've got my character sheet and literally, all night, multiple sessions in a row, my hit dice aren't used. So it's like, well, what if we found another way to go and use those guys?
So first of all, one of the things I'll point out, Total Party Kill Games, Brian Berg actually put out a recovery die kind of like supplement where he does this as well.
Right.
I don't know if he did what we're doing or not. I haven't read it. I know it was reviewed on our site. Megan Miller had done a review on it, and she even play tested it in some of her games. So, you can find the review for that over on nerdarchy.com, and I'll put a link to it if it's something you guys are interested in checking out. You can, pick up the book or PDF of that or whatever.
So, this is, our ideas. We haven't read that book.
We could be totally ripping them off. We don't even know.
So, I really hope that's not the case. But, as we said, it's something in our particular games that they don't really come up all, they really don't get used all that often. So, we're like, well, if it's something that can be used, then it's something that should be used. So what if we come up with some other ideas to use those? And we figured if we're going to do this as a series, let's start off with one class and say, how would this class use those dice and what would they get for it?
Right. And we're not even, we even have some areas where we're not even sure where we're going yet, like how many hit die something costs.
Right.
Like we were looking at is like one minus your level or half your level, something, or 1 for 1. Like some of them seem way overpowered. Some of them seemed underpowered. So it's a little tricky. So now we're looking at Barbarian.
All right. So Barbarian, you've got some base abilities, and then you've got some archetypal abilities. Now, if you're playing the Frenzied Berserker, it's really good once a day because you can get that extra attack. But after that, you've got too many levels of exhaustion, and you could literally attack yourself to death.
And frankly, there are better ways to get an extra attack as a bonus action.
So we were thinking, well, what happens if you could just use one of your hit dice to remove a level of exhaustion?
Or half your hit dice, or whatever the appropriate number is.
The number is up in the air, and I think it should be, either, 1 for 1, which is too powerful in a lot of cases, or some kind of formulaic, like a quarter of your level to a minimum of 1 to use each of these things.
Right, I think we'd probably do a chart or something to make it easy, because really it harkens back to the one on Arthurcana where it was a stupid, crazy formula that it's like, and literally then people, like we had discussed it, and the people in the comments were like, no, you have to use order of operation for mathematics in order to figure it out properly. And once you even utter that phrase, sorry, I want to punch you in the throat, for my D&D game, you should have just made it a chart. If you have to decide whether we're using order of operation or just using it the way it reads. So, so we want to definitely avoid crazy mechanics like that. We want to make it really simple, like, half your level or a third your level or your level -1, or here's this chart. Follow that.
Right. So it's probably going to wind up in a chart, but it'll be a chart that we make up once, and it'll be across the board for all abilities unless it specifically says otherwise.
Right, maybe it's geared towards your proficiency bonus or something like that. That something that's really easy and it's already in the mechanics of the game.
Right.
But that would be a cool way for for the Frenzied Berserker to actually be able to use his Frenzied Berserk a little bit more.
Right.
But there's a price to pay. You know, if you start taking a lot of damage and all of a sudden you want to use your healing hit die and you want to get some hit points back, but you Frenzied Berserk too much and have gotten rid of the exhaustion.
Right.
You know, or maybe it's worse than that. Maybe you anticipated being able to use your healing hit die in order to get rid of exhaustion, but you took way more damage in that fight than you thought you were going to.
Right.
So now you're stuck and like maybe you don't have any to use.
Right. So then if we've got something for the Frenzied Berserker, we should actually have stuff for the Totem Warrior as well. And here's where we broke it down based on the different aspects. And we kind of looked at, okay, well, what are some things that would make the most sense? So wolves are known to...
Well, first of all, I think we tied it directly to the rage ability, to the totem rage ability.
Mm-hmm.
And we tied it to, wolf, bear, and eagle. So whatever your choice at third level was, this is going to determine how you can use your healing hit die.
Right. So wolves are, at least in earlier editions, I don't know how they look in 5th, but they're known to make trip attacks. So you can expend the appropriate number of dice once you've successfully hit to just trip them. Easy and done. If they're going to try and get away, well, they're going to spend half their movement to get up. Totally works. It's not game-breaking in any way, shape, or form. But if they're on the ground and your allies happen to be fighting in melee, well, then they're going to get advantage on the attacks.
Right. You're a barbarian. Probably use the same exact formula that the battle master uses: 8 plus your proficiency bonus, plus your strength modifier. I mean, you could go strength or dex on this one, but you're a barbarian. It's probably strength.
Right.
But it could be otherwise. I've seen dex-based barbarians. It happens.
It's weird, but it happens. So you've also got, eagle, which the eagle, as they're moving about the battlefield, like, they're about the mobility. So we said, well, let's give them some more. So we said, what if we added 10 feet of speed to their movement through the expenditure of the hit die? Well,
and also, too, like, basically, if you raise a wolf, you get pack tactics. If you have an ally, you get advantage. So we're saying, well, what if, they can do something cool, and then, 1, it limits the mobility of their opponent, and 2, possibly giving advantage to their allies as well. Right. So that's cool. Now, eagle, we looked at their ability, which is, 1 is disadvantage to...
We just did eagle.
Yeah. I'm looking at their actual rage ability. That gives you disadvantage to your attacks of opportunities against them if they move around in combat, and it can also use a bonus action to dash. Right. So they're already pretty fast. Yeah, that's if your standard movement, they could actually move 60 feet around the battlefield easily. Well, we're gonna go.
Well, make it 80.
Why not make it 80? If they expended the healing hit die, it's thematic, it's fun, it's interesting. And I think that'll play in for the eagle at the higher levels too when they actually get to fly. So it'll give them even a little bit more there, a little juice, a little more bang for their buck. So that brings us to the bear, and the bear's rage ability is the fact that they have resistance to all damage but psychic.
So here we're like, well, what happens if we could essentially give them a pack tactic situation? So it would actually impose advantage, or it would give advantage to your allies fighting in combat. So here is like, okay, well, you're already swinging with advantage. So now... But
yeah, we're not saying pack tactics because this is a bear, right? It's not a wolf. Right. We're more of a frightful presence. Like the bear's, intimidating, scary, roar, does the bear thing, startles your enemies, and then everyone else has advantage.
You've already got it because you're awesome, but now your awesome will extend to your allies because you're so awesome.
Well, yeah. Well, if you're reckless, you actually... It's not really from being awesome. It's from being reckless. A little bit of comedy, recklessly awesome. It's delicious. So we also have one more, and that is, this one is not tied to a specific barbarian path or primal path. This is, okay, while you're raging, and as a barbarian, what do you want to do? You want to do more damage, right? So what do you do? Well, instead of healing yourself later, you're going to expend those dice to do extra damage.
So it's like, if you're swinging your weapon would just add on another weapon damage to the attack for, expending, again, the appropriate number of dice. I think it's appropriate. We'll encourage people to do it. And if you follow the 5th edition mechanic, it's a situation where all these extra things happen after you hit. So you could save it for when you crit, or you could, just, wait for that time. It's like, all right, I really need to do this. So it gives a little bit of leeway into the situation.
Yeah, it's just a little extra something to add some fun to the game. We're going to play with the mechanics and talk about it a little bit. Maybe we'll do some play testing in our games at some point with it as well to see how it actually works out. What do you guys think we should do for the cost? Should it be tied to the proficiency bonus? It should just be healing hit die. Should it be some crazy arcane formula? We got a place for that. It's called the comments. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on Instagram.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.